It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. From Led Zeppelin 3, that, of course, was That's the Way, my favorite personal Led Zeppelin song. And I have to admit, I have seen quite a few Led Zeppelin tributes out there, and they range from being great to being terrible, as they probably should, because obviously that was an iconic band that really set the standard for everything that was rock and heavy metal after it. And on the phone right now, we've got a guy that is continuing the legacy, so to speak, of Led Zeppelin. He is the lead singer of Led Zeppelin 2. It is Bruce Lamont. Bruce, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent, man. Well, Bruce, I have a million questions for you. First and foremost, I have to just ask point blank, how does a singer discover that he can do a voice that is basically unmatched and unchallenged in the history of rock?
Well, funny that you asked that. I had someone tell me a long time ago that they thought I sounded like Robert Plant just naturally when I was playing doing other bands and whatnot. And, the whole story to how we kind of started. I mean, this wasn't a thing where we're like, hey, let's start up a Led Zeppelin band. You know, it's more or less like four musicians from Chicago who just like to play. And we, it was actually more of like a Halloween thing. We just dressed up one Halloween, a million years ago, and got up on stage and kind of did it. And people were like, wow, you guys were really good. And I was like, oh, cool, okay, this is fun. And, did it again the next Halloween. And then it was kind of like, hey, do you want to get a little more serious with this? Should we play a couple times a year? There's a club in town called Martyrs that used to have this band called Dark Star Orchestra, did like a Grateful Dead thing. And we were kind of like, well, they do that band. Why don't we go and do Zeppelin there instead, And we did. And, yeah, and then it just kind of snowballed. And, over the years, just kind of like worked at it, listened to a lot of live bootleg recordings along with the records and all that kind of stuff, and here we are, like I said, a million years later,
sure,
on the road doing it. So
definitely. now I have not seen the band yet. I will be seeing you guys in I think 2 weeks. But I've seen a lot of the YouTube stuff that's out there, and what strikes me the most, and I think it's probably what most people look at when they see a band doing a tribute to another band, is they look for the nuances. They don't necessarily look for the songs to sound exactly like they did on the record, as much as they look for the little nuances. And I think that's what you guys capture brilliantly. Is I've watched, probably just like you, I've watched a million Zeppelin bootlegs, and you guys really, it almost seems like it was like a college course of studying Zeppelin. Is that how it really turned out to be?
Paul Camp, the guitar player, and I are both like super nerds when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's like, I mean, it's like, as far as we're concerned, it's like, we're going to do this. It's like, do it and do it right or go home kind of thing. And so, yeah, so it was kind of like a college course. I mean, I'm still listening to bootlegs. Last night I was, we were traveling and I was listening to, I found a bootleg from the Japanese tour they did, the second one they did in 1972. I'd never heard it before.
Okay.
Just checking it out, and like, I just, and it, like I said, and as a band, we kind of, our little twist on this whole Zeppelin thing is that, we don't kind of, rehash or regurgitate the recorded material. We're all about the live stuff.
Right.
So we kind of try to get inside that, and, sometimes we like take some subtle liberties, in that respect. We'll do the 20-minute Days Confused, and it won't quite be like it's not note for note the way you heard it on the song. I mean, it's the same soundtrack or the How the West Was Won version. We'll, add a little something in there to kind of make it its own thing. Or, a kid told me like 2 weeks ago at a show afterwards, he's like, man, I love the way you guys do No Quarter. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, it's way heavier than the way Zeppelin did. He was like, there's a lot more guitar. You guys really push it. And I'm like, well, I figured like for an audience in 2016, that's kind of necessary in a sense, because people, we've all lived post-Zeppelin, or at least I discovered Zeppelin after Zeppelin was,
sure,
done as a band, and being a metal fan and all that kind of stuff. I've already heard bands that were way heavier than Zeppelin ever were. So I think, kind of putting that back in, and kind of giving a little more oomph than they did from back in the day really kind of translates and resonates with the modern audience, So we think about things like that as well, too. But yeah.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about the name, because I'm pretty sure you had to get approval from somebody in the band, because most.
I'm not at liberty to discuss those things. I'll talk to our attorneys.
No, I just assume that because you're not called Black Dog or Stairway to Heaven or whatnot, that Jimmy Page or somebody has given some sort of permission. Is that true or no? Or
again, I'm not allowed to discuss those things.
Oh, really?
Speak for our attorneys. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I have a smile on my face as I'm saying that to you. So.
Okay, fair enough, man. Well, talk a little bit, Bruce, about how other tribute bands for Led Zeppelin affects the business of a band like you guys that are clearly out there touring. Does it affect you? Every city has a Led Zeppelin tribute band, but I guess my question is, does it affect the value of you guys or the ability of you guys to go from different city to city when they can hire their own local band to do the show? Does that make sense?
Sure. I'll be honest with you, man. We never have approached it that way in a creative or a business sense at all. I mean, we've just been kind of going with the flow. I mean, we started touring maybe 7 years ago. We played in Chicago for a number of years, like I said, for a lot of fun, and we do it more often. And we kind of built up a pretty strong fan base, in our hometown, and we kind of, got a booking agent and took it from there. And we just slowly but surely just started just finding places, around the U.S. and North America. And now we're going, international as well too. It's just one step at a time. I honestly, I'm the worst person to talk about other Zeppelin bands. I've never seen a Led Zeppelin tribute band in my life. I have no idea what other bands are doing. I know a couple band names,
Right.
We've come across a few bands where, it's like we'll be, looking to book ourselves in a certain city, and so-and-so's playing, across the street that week, and it's like, okay, fair enough, cool.
Sure.
But I've never been one to think about it, at least in a competitive sense. So that's not what we're about or anything like that at all. But just like I said, in a business sense, if our booking agent or our management tell us like, so-and-so's going to be playing in June, so we're not going to have you play there in June, we're going to have you play there in October. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. We're respectful enough to like kind of keep ourselves, there's plenty of Zepp to go around.
Sure.
The way I look at it. There's plenty of fans. We're not playing arenas here. We're playing clubs. X amount of people can get in the door. Everyone's got their own little spin on it, as far as that goes. So it's cool, but yeah, like I said, in a business sense, maybe, like I said, booking agents and management are mindful of not, having us play the same night as another band.
Sure.
That's doing Zeppelin as well too. So
certainly. Now, is it surprising to you or amazing to you, or does it matter at all to you that you guys literally will come to a city like Cleveland, like that's where I'm going to see you in Cleveland, and play to the same size crowd as an example, I just saw Jason Bonham a month ago, and you're literally playing the same size building as Jason Bonham, who has actually sat in the chair with Led Zeppelin. Does it surprise you that you guys have built that kind of a following, not only here, but, around the country?
Yeah, I'm grateful. That's amazing. That was, something that, we had hoped for when we first, got going as far as the touring thing was. We didn't really know what to expect. The first time we ever played outside of Chicago, we went down to play 2 shows, I'll never forget this, in Dallas and Houston, not knowing what to expect, and got down there, and both nights we played to over 1,000 people. And I was like, 1,000 people? Are you kidding me? Like, I've been playing in bands and playing music for, again, a lot of years.
Sure.
And that was a rarity and a treat. This happens more often than not with this band. We just did a tour over the summer with a band called the Australian Pink Floyd, where we were in LA and we played to 9,000 people. 9,000? Come on. I've never played to 9,000 people in my life.
Right.
I've been playing clubs. I've been playing clubs forever, and I still do with other bands and whatnot. It's a lot of people, man.
Sure, it definitely is, man.
So, it's kind of crazy, but we kind of look at that. I look at it in a positive sense. It's like, there's some things occurring in the world as we can see, especially in 2016. We're losing a lot of our classic rock heroes in a sense.
Sure.
And I think there's going to be a future where, Led Zeppelin members might not be around.
Right.
And that's not, and so we're going to have to continue the legacy. Look at what happened after, Elvis Presley passed away. And it's like, how many Elvis,
mm-hmm.
can you find out there? There's tons,
Sure.
And I think that the reality is that something like what we're doing can definitely, be the future of keeping the legacy of Zeppelin's music alive. We're, happy to do it, grateful, so.
Sure.
Keep on keeping on,
Right, exactly. For you personally, as the quote unquote Robert Plant of the band, do you have any sense at all of the music that he's done after Led Zeppelin? Do you ever think about, doing something kind of goofy, a solo show playing, Honey Dripper songs or something like that, or do you strictly lock down to Led Zeppelin?
No, like I was saying, I have like 4 other bands. Besides the Zepp thing, I'm kind of, tied up at the moment doing other things. But no, not really. I back in the day, I own Pictures at 11 and Now I'm Zen, and I had never seen him live.
Uh-huh.
I've been doing him forever, and I was like, I didn't see him live until like 2 years ago. He's amazing. Like, I love him now with the
Sure.
Spaceshifters. Like, what he was doing is so good. And I love, like, the way he, like, kind of reinterprets the Zeppelin stuff. And it's pretty badass. I went and saw him again last summer, and I thought he was really, really great.
Sure.
But, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think I would, go that far. I don't even know if it would, I don't know. He's still doing that stuff. So I was like, I feel like,
right.
I'd leave that go. For now, maybe. Ask me 5 years from now, I'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll be Robert Plant solo.
Right, 5 years from now, it'll be a manic Nirvana from start to finish in a show, right?
Right, exactly.
Very
That's
cool.
amazing.
Nice. Well, man, let me ask some of the stupid, obvious radio questions. For you, what is your favorite Zeppelin song, and what is your favorite Zeppelin song to sing?
Oh, I love that you asked that. Well, it's funny because you mentioned That's the Way being one of your favorites. That's a song. We have we normally create a theme for a tour, and we're doing a thing called How the Midwest Was Won, since we're from the Midwest.
Sure.
But also, too, we're basically doing the How the West Was Won 1972 set, and they play that, of course. That's one of my favorites in the set to sing. It's really fun. But if I had to pick my favorite Zeppelin song of all time, I think I can say this collectively as the band too, is Achilles' Last Stand.
Okay.
Off of Presence. That's probably our favorite. We've kind of owned that one for a lot of years. That was the deep cut we'd always kind of throw out there, and maybe 25 to 40% of the audience would be like, hell yeah, Achilles, man. Where some of the crowd would be like, I don't know this one, whatever. And then my favorite song to sing, and we only do it in Chicago normally because we have a friend of ours come out and play a little lap steel guitar, is Tangerines.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dude, isn't it amazing how Zeppelin's music has changed with the fan base? And what I mean by that is, I grew up, I'm 47, so I grew up, I actually got to see Led Zeppelin once when I was 9. I saw him in 77,
wow.
And I didn't know what I was seeing. I might as well have been seeing. Yeah, my mom took me. My mom was a huge fan, so she took me. But it might as well have been Sesame Street Live because I didn't know what I was witnessing, Right. But the thing that's weird is, being a high school kid in the 80s, 82 to 86 or whatever, it was all about Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that was it. But now when you talk to people that are my age, everybody's leaning on Presence and everybody's looking at, well, Coda wasn't so bad. And I remember everybody hating Coda, back in the day. But isn't it weird how it's kind of grown? The stuff that wasn't as popular has now kind of replaced the stuff that was for a lot of fans.
Yeah, I think, like you said, those first 4 records, they're just been played to death. You know, I mean,
Sure.
we know. I mean, everybody in the United States that was growing up at that time, and like you said too, like the same thing. I'm not too much. We're closer in age. I'm a little younger, but not too much.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, growing up in the '80s, yeah, just those records. I could sing those songs when I was 13 years old. You know, front to back, every one. You know, I knew every lyric. And then, yeah, as the years went on, I think it's just because you want more. You know, it's like, well, what else is out there? Well, there's Presence, and like maybe they didn't give Presence, you know, the time of day. And if you go back and like, I mean, Presence is an amazing record, really. I mean, there's like. Honestly, and if I had a beef, and this is funny, we all, again, nerd out. If I have a beef, I think T for One sounds too much like Since I've Been Loving You. And then I've had arguments with people going, that's an amazing song. What are you talking about?
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't say it's amazing or not. It's like, just kind of sounds like Since I've Been Loving You. That's all. I'm not, you know, whatever. Like I said, I'm being nitpicky. And then even Into the Outdoor, never liked that record back in the day.
Right.
And then I don't remember in my like late 20s, like, I've been tending bar for years, and I'm sitting at a bar, I'm working, and someone threw that record on. I listened to it all the way through, and I was like sitting there going, "Man, this is weird, but I think I like this record." You know, like all of a sudden, like, Candelabra. Okay, it's not classic Zepp, but it's kind of cool. You know, like all of a sudden, like we started going through, and then we just recently started playing in the evening live. It's super fun, man. We love it. People are going apeshit. You know, like we did it. Like I was like a ball buster. We could not believe the reaction we got from a crowd.
Sure.
We kind of built it up, you know, just did this whole like warbly, you know, kind of thing. I was like, in the evening. Everyone's like, yeah. I was like, I looked at our drummer. I'm like, holy shit. You know, so funny.
Nice, dude. Dude, you said that you listen to and kind of study the bootlegs. What's your favorite bootleg of all of them out there?
There's that 77 show, June 25th, 77. It's a 3-hour show. It may not be my favorite, but it's the one I refer to quite a bit. It's right before Plant Son died. I think it was like a couple shows before. Okay. They cut that tour short. It's just because it's like a 3-hour, you know, just onslaught. You know what I mean? Plant's voice is kind of in and out.
Right.
Page's guitar is kind of, you know, it was great and then sometimes sloppy, but it was it, you know. So I was like, I like to go back to that one often. But I mean, a lot of the stuff that I like has been released, you know, either through that the DVD collection, right? You know, so we watch some of this stuff, or you know, that How the West Was Won. I used to have like bootlegs of those shows that they did in California, like the LA area, 72. Obviously, these are way cleaned up, and you know. Yeah, like I said, you know what's funny? The reason why I went to the Japanese bootleg, well, first of all, we were talking to a Japanese promoter trying to get over there to play and that kind of stuff. So I was thinking about, what will we play? We went to Japan. And I was reading about their tours, and that particular Japanese bootleg, they were like, that's the tour where Robert started having problems hitting the really, really high notes. Right. You know, and then in 73, like you see in song like The Same, he like dropped rock and roll an octave, you know, and I was like, oh, interesting. Right. So I went back to that bootleg, so I wanted to hear it. And honestly, they opened with rock and roll, and he's hitting those notes, no problem. I was like, oh, weird. I wish I had been asked the tour. Maybe it was later. I mean, they didn't do that many dates. It's only 7 or 8 shows, you know. Right. I'm just being a dork. I've been singing. I mean, those high notes are way out of my range normally, and I've been doing them for 15. Well, I don't want to be out the number of years we've been doing this because I don't want to date myself, but a lot of years. Always conscious of trying to keep the voice strong. You know what to do. You know, I'm like, wow. I mean, what happened? Like, how did this? You know, these injuries. I mean, I know. I mean, he smoked. And probably did a few other things that might have affected his voice back in the day. But, you know, I'm trying to look at this, you know, in the longevity perspective, like how can I keep the voice strong for as long as possible? More like a Rob Halford, you know? Right. Sure. So. Definitely. Well, if I had to pick bootlegs, I always lean to Destroyer because I was A, there, and B, just because the audio quality is mint. But I also recently, and I'm sure you have this, I recently got my hands on that Kabbalah Sessions. Man, oh man, that 6-disc set, that is some quality stuff there. Have you heard that one? What's that from? Like what era? Like 75. It's called the Kabbalah Sessions. It's a 6-disc set. It's just I don't know any history really about it, but it
just amazing.
I don't have it, but honestly, we get a lot of stuff from fans that I don't get. Like, I know obviously I know Destroyer, but the names of some bootlegs, like we don't normally get it. I don't get stuff like that. I just get dates.
Right.
And I just get thrown like, oh, here's 4 shows from like 75. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, maybe same shows. I don't know. I'm like, okay, that's kind of like how I archive them. It's just like the dates so I can go back and, reference them or whatnot.
Sure. So, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, man, Led Zeppelin 2 is out there touring. Why don't you give people some information where they can go to check out, where you're going to be playing and get a little bit of information about the band and, all that good stuff.
But of course, it's real simple. LedZeppelin2.com is our website. We're on Facebook, one word, Led Zeppelin 2. On Twitter the same way, Led Zeppelin 2 Live. You can find us, Instagram, if you Google Led Zeppelin 2, the first thing that'll pop up is the Wikipedia about the record Led Zeppelin 2, and then we're right under that. So we're out there. We're easy to find. So
excellent. Well, man, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track. So I guess you could pick a Zeppelin track, maybe tell us a story about it, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh man, you're doing an '80s metal show. I was gonna pick something else.
Well, you can go with something else. You can go with something else. Go ahead. Go with whatever you want.
Oh man, how about High and Dry from Def Leppard?
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do that. All right. Well, let's check it out. This is Def Leppard. It is High and Dry right here on your Classic Metal Show.